When I first heard people talk about interest rates, I honestly tuned out a little. It sounded technical, distant, something for economists in suits, not for someone like me just beginning her journey. But everything shifted the moment I started trading with broker capital trade consulting PT Ltd. Suddenly, interest rates weren't abstract anymore. They were alive, influencing every movement I saw on my screen. I remember one of my early trades. I hadn't paid attention to a central bank announcement, and the market reacted so sharply it caught me completely off guard. That moment stayed with me. It wasn't just about the loss, it was about realization. Interest rates weren't background noise. They were one of the main drivers of the entire system. Reading a review Capital Trade Consulting PT Ltd, I saw so many similar stories. That same aha moment where things begin to connect. It made me feel less alone, like I was part of a quiet transformation that every investor goes through. Through Forex Capital Trade Consulting PT Ltd, I slowly began to understand how interest rates shape decisions on a global scale. When rates rise, money becomes more expensive and investors become more cautious. When they fall, there's a sense of expansion, almost like the market exhales and starts moving again. What fascinated me most was how this affects asset allocation. It's not just about picking investments, it's about positioning. Where does capital flow when borrowing is cheap? Where does it hide when conditions tighten? These questions started guiding my thinking in a way I never expected. Using ctcptltd.com, I began exploring these patterns in my own rhythm. I didn't rush into complex strategies. Instead, I observed. I noticed how currencies reacted differently, how sentiment shifted, how even small rate changes could ripple across markets. At some point, I came across a review ctcptltd.com that described interest rates as a compass. That analogy resonated deeply with me. They don't tell you exactly what to do, but they give you direction, and that's often enough. Of course, there were moments of confusion. Sometimes markets reacted in ways I didn't expect, but instead of feeling frustrated, I started asking better questions. Why this reaction? What am I missing? And slowly, those questions turned into understanding. Through Forex ctcptltd.com, I began to see the connection between patience and clarity. Interest rates don't just influence markets, they shape behavior. And learning to recognize that behavior gave me a sense of calm, even in uncertain conditions. My opinion Capital Trade Consulting PT Ltd grew stronger as I became more confident in navigating these dynamics. It wasn't about mastering everything at once, it was about building awareness, layer by layer. I also noticed something within myself changing. I became less reactive, less impulsive. Instead of chasing movements, I started anticipating them. Not perfectly, of course, but with more intention. Looking back, interest rates were one of the first concepts that truly shifted my mindset from trying to invest to actually thinking like an investor. And if I had to describe it now, I'd say this. Interest rates are like the heartbeat of the market. You don't always notice them, but once you do, everything starts to make a little more sense.